MVX Plus is a new blood test that measures the cellular health of our bodies, and this is a graphic that I just designed to help you understand the importance of running MVX Plus, no matter what state of disease or health you're in. So let's go over this graphic because it also describes how there's this disconnect between drug-based medical doctors and then the wellness industry, such as myself. I'm a chiropractor using nutrition and diet and supplements for 27 years. There's a no man's land right in the middle of this. And this will explain a lot when you hear differing opinions on therapies and conditions on social media. I'm going to read every word here on this graphic. So if you're watching on your phone and you can't read it, don't worry, I'm going to read it to you. So at the very top, it says mapping the health disease continuum. It says MVX Plus, which is the name of this blood test. It was released January 2025. It's the most important blood test for humanity regarding health. It's the main evaluation for chronic disease and mitochondrial dysfunction. So when we talk about chronic disease, it's going to be up here, these rainbow colored circles, and then the mitochondrial dysfunction is down here in the green circles. And there's a difference between what's up here versus what's down here, although we're still measuring the same thing, which is health. And then on the far left, we have healthy. Look at this woman, she's smiling. And all the way to the right is skull and crossbones and mortality. So what goes on in the middle is a procession, if you will, of mitochondrial dysfunction and cellular dysfunction, then therefore tissue, gland, organ, and body dysfunction. In that order, and in medicine, it goes like this: healthy, orange is risk factors, yellow is symptoms, this blue is disease, light blue is pathology, and then purple it says end-of-life syndromes. A syndrome is a series of events that occurs that are predictable when in a condition such as poor health. So let's start here at the orange. It says risk factors, and in the orange circle it says hypertension, obesity, A1C, which is a measurement of blood sugar, and then LDL, cholesterol, etc. These are risk factors. You could be pretty healthy, feeling good and active, but yet you're a bit overweight. You might have slight hypertension and you don't even know it, and you haven't run blood tests in a long time, so you don't know what your A1C is. Those are risk factors, and you may not even realize you have any of them. Now, under symptoms, which is yellow, it says fatigue, pain, GI problems, brain fog, etc. So now you're suffering a bit, and you have some trouble like with sleep, or you can't comprehend very well. Your energy might be low. So now you have symptoms, and you run to a doctor, and you're not given a diagnosis of a disease because you're not there yet. You have mitochondrial dysfunction and cellular dysfunction, and you feel it, but you're not in this part yet, disease, which is blue. This is where drugs start to come in. So below me in the circle, it says diagnosis. Labs and symptoms provide a label for an area. So the area might be heart, it might be nervous system, it might be brain, it might be lungs, it might be like pain in your legs or something, or nerve pain. That's the areas. And you get a diagnosis. And as you go down this way, you might have multiple diagnoses for multiple areas. So you can have neuropathy in your legs, you can have shortness of breath related to your heart. But here in the light blue, it's pathology. So you have tumors, plaque, calcification. So when I say calcification, that could be arthritis, could be calcification in the arteries. There's an actual physical change that could be found with some kind of a scan, MRI, X-ray, CT scan, or like invasive cardiology. Now at the purple, we have end-of-life syndromes, and it says cachexia, sarcopenia, frailty, and acidosis. The modern definition of acidosis is something that is discovered in a hospital, and it's not a good thing. In the 1930s, the definition of acidosis was different, and it applied to most everybody with a chronic illness. But here I'm describing modern definition of acidosis. Okay, let's start at the beginning here. So here we have a healthy person. They're on no drugs, and their diet is good, and they have lots of energy. They like to exercise. They sleep well. And then as you go to risk factors, I would say that half of the risk factors are not worthwhile to pay attention to. The other half are. So A1C is a good risk factor, but LDL cholesterol, not such a good risk factor. Hypertension, obesity, overweight, yeah, you want to address that. But you want to get into the nutritional components to actually fix it so you're not relying on a drug for the rest of your life. Now, when I refer to what medical doctors say, I'm referring to what I see on social media. This might not be your medical doctor, but what I see on social media is if you're here at risk factors, they want you on a cholesterol-lowering drug, and if your blood pressure is high, they want you on a blood pressure drug, and if your A1C is high, they want you on a diabetes drug, and if you're overweight, they want you on a GLP-1 drug. So you're being drugged here at risk factors when all of this could be fixed with diet and exercise and supplements. Now, here at symptoms, fatigue, pain, GI, brain fog, people here respond really well to the type of holistic healthcare that I provide. I've been fixing these symptoms for over 20 years, and people respond really well to diet and supplements right here. Now, when you have a collection of symptoms and labs for an area that shows some problems, now you get a diagnosis, you get a disease. And then, of course, there's drugs for that in medicine. But yet, I still have been able to reverse some chronic conditions. I can't say the word cure, that's illegal. And I can't say that I diagnose a disease, that's illegal. But people in this blue, I've brought them from blue to yellow, back to orange, and to being healthy again. But it's this crossover from symptoms to disease that's kind of like no man's land, because over here, you have regular medicine with the drugs and the surgery. And then over here, you have the wellness industry with diet, supplements, exercise, good sleep, light, sunlight, etc. Now, if you have a collection of diseases in medicine, you end up with a collection of drugs. That's called polypharmacy. And down here in the pathology part, you might end up with surgery. And then in the purple part, there's nothing medicine can do. They can give you comfort, but these are end-of-life syndromes. Now, I've had people at end-of-life syndromes that I wasn't able to help, but there's been other people that did receive help by changing their diet dramatically. So the social media medical doctors, they own this area right here, and they bash the holistic people over here. And the holistic people are like, wait a minute, you're treating symptoms and diseases that can be reversed with diet and supplements. And so that's why I'm saying, like, in this area between yellow and blue, that's where the battle is on social media. That's where there's an economic territory here versus here, and medicine is creeping into here, and the holistic providers are creeping into here. So this is where the battle is. Now, I talk about in the 1930s, they did feeding studies, and they were reversing diseases by supplying nutrients. That's where all the feeding studies were done. The vitamin discoveries were in the 1920s. That was a great era. And they were treating chronic illness with nutrition. Even all the way out here, end-of-life syndromes, usually with vitamin B1. B1 has been absolutely tremendous for really severe problems. Now let's talk about the green circles. This is related to MVX Plus. It gives you a score 1 to 100 for your overall health. You want your score to be low. 1 to 25 is really, really good. So it says below me, no chronic infections, no toxins, diet is good. These are people that are doing really well. If their score is below 25, they're happy. They are happy people. So when people's health is worse and worse, their MVX score is higher and higher, they're not so happy. Now, under risk factors for MVX, in the green circle, it says MVX score is greater than 25, may have no symptoms, but has cellular dysfunction. So the reason why somebody has hypertension or high A1C is cellular dysfunction. It could be insulin resistance. It could be, hormonal imbalance like high ghrelin, or the GLP is too low and they end up on a GLP drug when they could just do a low-carb diet and raise their glucagon, but they're treated medically for a nutritional condition. Under this third green circle, it says MVX score rising. This is under symptoms starting, but responds to diet and supplements. So they're still in the holistic healthcare field. They get good results here as long as their practitioner is good. Now under disease, it says MVX score greater than 50. Cells, tissues, glands, organs are dysfunctional. They end up on drugs. But you can still get your score from above 50 to below 30 and below 25 potentially. The first time I ran MVX myself, my score was 55, and I felt terrible. I had a gas leak. I had lung pain and heart pain. 4 weeks later, my score was 31 because I wasn't breathing in gas anymore. So yeah, you can still have, a bad diagnosis like this and lower your MVX score and go backwards on this health disease continuum. Now, under pathology, the green circle says MVX score is greater than 65. Surgery and polypharmacy is done here, but still needs cellular health regained. So you could need the drugs to save your life in an acute situation. And I describe like type 1 diabetes is an acute situation. Every day you need a drug, or else in a few weeks you're not doing good at all. And there's other acute situations like a bacterial infection or something where you need antibiotics or a steroid. That's where medicine comes in really well. But then what? After you're done with the antibiotic and steroid, what's next? What's next is regain your health. In between medical doctor visits, you still have to work on improving your health. So run MVX, see what your score is, and get your score down. MVX will guide you down the right path. Is it infection, inflammation, toxicity, malnutrition, or mitochondrial dysfunction? Those are the 5 aspects that MVX Plus measures. And under end-of-life syndromes, the MVX score is very high, greater than 80. Now, I've had people who had cachexia. It didn't work out too well. We've had one person in particular that I remember. She had endometrial cancer with cachexia and ascites, which is, fluid retention in the abdomen, and metastasis of her cancer. She was a mess. Her medical doctors gave up on her, but she came to see us, and that was like 4 years ago or something, and she's still alive. All of her cancer is gone. And it was a lot of work, and she's very diligent about her diet, and she was eating lots of raw eggs every day, even to this day, eating raw eggs, getting deep into ketosis. And raw animal foods are really important to repair your tissues because it's easily digested protein, and your immune system needs that. She also had to do a lot of detoxing, but it was a lot of work, and she just went with it, and she's doing really well. And she has run MVX Plus, and her score is really good. It's pretty low. But the point is, you want to avoid this. So you live to be 90 or whatever years old, and you fall asleep one night, and then you don't wake up. Like, that's how you go, instead of suffering from these end-of-life syndromes, which is caused by toxins, organisms, and the standard American diet. Now let's revisit this again, starting in the orange, risk factors. You get these standard blood tests, annual physical, blood pressure, and A1C, thyroid panel, for example, standard complete blood count, CMP. These blood tests have been used for decades, and they give you some readings. But then as you get more symptoms, you get more specialized blood tests and urine tests. And then once you get a disease, now you have a collection of labs and a collection of symptoms. And then under pathology, now you've had these scans done. They find something wrong on the scan. The tests are more expensive. They're taken more frequently. And then here you have end-of-life syndromes. So if you could just run MVX along this whole way and bring your score down, your MVX score lower and lower, you're reversing this health disease continuum. Regardless of what your TSH score is, regardless of what any other lab or scan shows, they're measuring symptoms. And the symptom could be liver failure. It could be heart plaquing. It could be a tumor or a cyst or a fibroid. These are symptoms of cellular and mitochondrial dysfunction, causing tissue, gland, organ dysfunction and death. So as you run MVX Plus, you're testing physiology, you're testing function. And that is fixable. Even if your score, we've had patients whose score is over 75, and we brought them down into the 30s. This can be done. But the practitioner has to focus on improving health using diet and supplements and whatever else it takes, instead of treating symptoms and disease with poisonous drugs. And you might need the drugs, you might need the surgery. They will prop you up, but as long as you are continually improving your health, then you have a chance. This graphic I made in 2018, it describes the 7 steps it takes to reverse your poor physiology and to bring back health. And in the red font, like above me, these are the factors measured by MVX Plus, and you apply the measurement to the step. Like this is step 1 related to diet, and the branched chain amino acids in MVX Plus are what correlate with the diet. So that's the measurement, and then step 1 is the action that you do as you improve your diet. I don't want to get into all the details of this. I've done plenty of videos about this, but I'm just showing you that MVX Plus lines up exactly with the 7 steps to bring your health back. Originally, this graphic was in this format, but then I changed it. I changed it to this infinity sign because you start with step 1 and you work your way around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then O is optimization, which is over here, and that has to do with constantly improving your health, even to a small degree, because every day you're exposed to toxins and unlucky exposures, such as parasites or a virus or something like that. You want to clean your body out as much as possible. And you may have to go through this again or 2 or 3 times, or you may have to just hit like step 3 or 4 every once in a while. So that's why I made it into an infinity sign instead of just one line. I'm going to go back to this graphic one more time. So we're looking at disease through pathology and end-of-life syndromes. This is exciting and expensive and radical stuff here. The drugs and the surgery, and they make movies out of this information. They make TV shows out of it. They take money out of your paycheck every week for Medicare and Medicaid to pay for this. The health insurance here is very expensive. The average American family is spending $27,000 a year for insurance. And with a $9,000 deductible, that's $36,000 spent every year without getting any benefit whatsoever. You have to spend the money first before insurance pays for your doctor's visit. And even then you have copays. So medicine focuses here. Now over here with the natural healthcare providers such as myself, oftentimes it's a cash practice. And so you're paying out of pocket. And the main tools are diet and supplements. And we over here don't understand the infatuation with drugs and shots and all the poisonous medications that people get that are over here. And these doctors don't understand why somebody would spend money on vitamin B1 or to take wormwood or something for parasites. Like, these doctors don't get it at all, at least not the ones on social media. There's actually a pediatrician on social media, and he sells t-shirts that say, "Stop Googling, drink water." For whatever health condition you have, he's telling you just drink more water and stop Googling. Like, that's the most ridiculous message anybody could ever say. But yet his patient base, he's a pediatrician, they're the healthiest people in the country because they're kids. So he has no concept about chronic disease in adults. Medicine is really good with acute situations, such as an infection. And what they're trying to do is apply their emergency tactics to people over here. And there's some people over here that are so good with healing the body using diet and supplements and herbs that they're applying that to over here. But the main message is to prevent you from going from left to right is to clean out all the toxins out of your body and clean out all the infections, the chronic infections, of course, the acute ones too. But the cleaner your body is, the less garbage and debris and mucus that you have in your body, the better off you are, the less disease you have. MVX Plus verifies that. It validates what you've been doing. It guides you down the right path. It tells you where to go next. It tracks your progress. We charge $89 for this test. I have my patients run it every 6 to 8 weeks. It is the absolute best test on the market for humanity. In the last 2 months, I've been to Washington, D.C. twice. I've talked to a variety of people about this test and how important it is. I'm trying to get this incorporated into some kind of a national program like Medicare and Medicaid, for example. I've talked with Dr. Senator Rand Paul. I've talked to RFK Jr. I talked to Jade Bhattacharya. He's in charge of the NIH. I talked to Jim O'Neill. He's the acting director of the CDC right now. I talked with Dr. Redfield, former director of the CDC. I talked with Dr. Robert Malone. And if I don't get anywhere with the politicians, doesn't matter. MVX Plus is the future of medicine. It is the test that directs you down the right path on how to improve your health, and then you can measure and track your progress. It negates all these large studies such as like the Harvard School of Public Health food surveys where they survey 100,000 people and they say, oh, look at this, eat 3 grapes a day and you'll live to be 11 years older. Like, that's implausible. Like, these studies don't necessarily apply to you. Everybody's genetics are different. Everybody's digestive systems work differently. You might prefer chicken over pork or pork over beef or beef over eggs. And you might need more plants. You might need less plants. You might have problems with nightshade vegetables, or some people have problems with fruit. So all these things are determined by you through your symptoms, but yet MVX Plus can also target and pinpoint problems related to your diet and your ability to digest. And then you fix it. It's already been shown at Duke University that MVX Plus is not changed when you take statin drugs. So when you take statin drugs, it does not improve your MVX score. They did not publish that study because it had a negative outcome towards statin drugs, but I was told by one of the researchers that that's what happened. So if you want to get MVX Plus, you can go to the front page of my website, upper right corner, click on MVX test, and we'll reach out to you, and we can get that rolling. You go to LabCorp in the morning, fasted, to get the blood draw. We get the results within 7 days. We send you the results by email. I have other videos about MVX Plus on my YouTube channel. If you're a doctor, I set up a website called mvxtraining.com. It's got a 3-hour, 20-minute video training course on MVX Plus, plus other courses. So you can check out mvxtraining.com. And if you want to be a patient in the office, call this number.